The Adam Project Review. Another sci-fi pairing from the Free Guy partnership of Ryan Reynolds and director Sean Levy. This movie takes us on a mass adventure and a surprisingly emotional one. So let's get on to it. Here is the Adam Project Review. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. I thought this movie was a real interesting one. We're in the present day of 2022 with a kid named Adam who has a loud mouth and is underdeveloped for his age and gets picked on. Within a matter of a few minutes, Ryan Reynolds, who plays a version of Adam from the year 2050, has gone back in time to find his wife Laura, who went missing after a mission, and somehow accidentally ended up in 2022. I think the world and the story get set up really well, and it's all laid out and placed in a digestible way. From the information about Laura, Ryan Reynolds' character appearing, present-day Adam's dad being killed, and Adam lashing out due to not being able to cope, I feel we see the relationship between present Adam and 2050 Adam almost like a father-son bond. We know Adam lost his father, and although it's his future self, Ryan Reynolds' version really acts like a father towards him and helps and cares for him when it's needed. The first 50 minutes focuses on Adam seeking out his wife, and she comes to his aid in his hour of need as he's about to be destroyed by Maya. By this point, we've seen a lot of emphasis on Adam's relationship with Laura, and we understand that loss is a driving motivator, and unfortunately something that's prevalent throughout his life, with the loss of his dad and his wife. The way that we see Ryan Reynolds' version of Adam behave with his mum leads me to think that she's no longer with him in the year 2050. The way he gets passionate and emotional when talking to the present-day version, and also the way that he looks at her. From a distance and up close, you could sense the emotion and the look of sorrow and loss in his eyes when they're focused on her. That's my theory anyway. After this, we see Adam and Laura reunite. However, he unfortunately has to flee due to Maya chasing after him and wanting to take him back to the year 2050. I thought a lot of the fight scenes and flying battles were done really well on screen. They got the excitement, suspense, and action across in a way that had me on the edge of my seat. And I think the creative thinking behind the weapons from the future added to that, as it was something we don't often see. We saw an emotional goodbye between the pair, and Adam saying that he will find her again. I thought a powerful moment was when he was driving off and he let out a loud scream and slammed the steering wheel. You could sense the loss creeping in again and it taking over him after just getting her back. Once this had played out, we saw the pair go back to the year 2018 to essentially make time travel unstoppable, due to the fact that it had essentially corrupted the world and it's in total ruin. We know this due to Ryan Reynolds' character saying it, but also Maya relaying it to her future self as well. She had contributed to the destruction of the world. They successfully go back to 2018, and this is then when we're introduced to their dad, who is played by Mark Ruffalo. I thought he was the perfect casting for the role, and you could feel the emotion when he realized that time travel existed, and he was there with his sons. The main thing was to not tell him that he died in a car accident, and to my surprise, they managed to stick to that. I thought it would slip out based on how the characters had behaved before. We see the three team up and look to take down Saurian, which will essentially mean that time travel never existed. I thought the climax here was fantastic. There were great battles, large consequences, extreme emotion, and a twist of fate that I thought was clever and took me by surprise. The bullet being sucked into the machine and killing the present-day Maya was something that I didn't expect, but it showed that she was just the money behind the operations, and Louis was the brains. This then led the three to escape unharmed, and then as time travel never existed, the slow realizations of the other versions of Adam will be returning to their timelines eventually. There was an internal battle about whether or not Louis was there for Adam when he was younger, and we see this come to a resolution with an apology in the closing few moments that I thought was beautiful. Louis had an inclination and knew that he was going to die, as he could tell when he first met them. So he let out everything he ever could and would say to them, and it was such an emotional moment. It tied into the quote that he gave in his lecture about how your work gets continued long after you die, and I believe that's what he was referring to when he said that he didn't want to know when he died, due to the fact that he's proud of how Adam turned out, and they're going to be the representation of him moving forward throughout life. He'll always be with them. In the closing moments, they go outside to play catch, which is something we know was a fond memory from when they were younger, and it slowly pans to each of them smiling and appreciating being with each other, as they know that this is something that they will never get again. Then, when the ball drops, Louis turns around and they're all gone. and you could sense the sadness yet appreciation of what just happened. The transition to 2022 was nice, with the dog running behind the bush. It was smooth and worked perfectly. Adam goes on to give his mum the biggest hug, and we can sense that he's learned a lesson whilst quite literally going on this mission through time. He's a changed person and on the path to being the Ryan Reynolds character. Once we see this, we see Ryan Reynolds' Adam return to his timeline, and it was in fact the moment that he mentioned in the future, where he and Laura met for the first time in a lecture. We see everything that he described, and as time travel never existed, he will likely not lose her in the way that he originally did, meaning that they can live that happy life together that he described. Overall, I really enjoyed this movie. It provided everything you could have wanted. A compelling story, it wasn't too complicated to keep up with, great visual effects other than Maya's CGI past self, emotional arcs that pull on your heartstrings, relatability, heartwarming, wholesome elements, and a cast that delivered in every possible way. I was hooked when watching, and I think it ticked every box for me. So, there you have it, what I thought of the Adam Project. What did you think? Leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.